Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Jamf After Dark podcast, a podcast to introduce you to the people at Jamf, learn about what we're up to when it comes to managing and securing Apple devices, along with what is happening in the IT landscape. I'm your co-host, Kat Garbus, joined by co-host Josh Thornton.
Good afternoon, Kat. How are you doing now that we're officially post JNUC and home and well rested?
Well rested is the key term there. I did not sleep very well in Denver. I don't know if it was the altitude messing with me because I'm someone that can sleep pretty much anywhere. And I definitely slept all 2 hours of my flight. So it was a 2 hour and 30-minute flight. The pilot woke me up with his announcement saying, "All right, everyone, we started our descent to Chicago." And then when I got to my parents' house to pick up my dog, Arlo, I was like, "Hey guys, I'm just going to take a nap for like just a little bit before I go home." And that was at 7 p.m. And I woke up at 9 a.m. the next morning. And my mom basically, sometime around 10 or 11, checked to make sure I was still breathing upstairs. So well rested has been my key focus after JNUC. How about you, Josh?
I'm doing great. I was really excited to see the kids. I hadn't left our youngest for that long before. So it was
Aw.
really awesome to get home and be with them again. But it sounds like really, I know last episode you talked about how important a good mattress is at your hotel. Sounds like that's where we got to be focusing for our next JNUC. Make sure you get the right hotel, the right mattress.
The mattress was good. I'm going to say it was the altitude. And I talked to a few other folks, and they were saying, altitude's messing with me, things like that. So I am just glad to be home where there's no elevated altitude. And yeah, back
Love it.
back on the ground. What do we got today? We've got a lot to cover. We've got, it's Cybersecurity Month, so happy October and Cybersecurity Month to all who celebrate. But then, I figure we chat about that, chat about this little thing called JNUC that just happened, and some security updates as well. So, Josh, who's here with us to help us unpack this nice big list of fun?
We've got some awesome guests today. Not going to lie, I'm very excited. So, joining us to nerd out about everything JNUC and Cybersecurity Month is fan favorite, former Jamf After Dark podcast host and principal product manager at Jamf, Katie English. And then also joining us is Jamf partner, friend of Jamf, tech whiz, awesome person, Chris Schasse of Rocketman Tech. Why don't y'all say hi and introduce yourselves?
Hey, everybody. I'm Katie. I'm on the Jamf product team. Super happy to be back on the podcast. I have to admit, I do not observe Cybersecurity Month, so I'm not participating. I object.
I can't wait to unpack that one because to me, cybersecurity is a year-long effort. So I could understand it from that perspective. Chris, how about yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Chris. You gave such a good intro before. I don't know if I have a ton to add. I'm with Rocketman Tech. We've been a company for 8 years. I used to work for Jamf. Before that, couple tiers under Katie English at the time I was there on the Pro Services team. So super excited to be on this podcast and talk about all the exciting announcements from JNUC.
Yeah, we loved having you at JNUC. It was really great to see you in the Rocketman team. And then Katie, it's always a blast to have you back here. Katie and I would joke that Charles Edge, rest in peace, left us this podcast, and we were here to raise it. So it's still going, and it's always great to have you back, Katie.
Thank you. And Chris, do you remember we did a gig out in Utah early in your Jamf days?
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a wild one. So it's good to
Yeah,
see you again.
that was a fun one. Lots of memories from that.
Chris, I like your story too, because you were a former Jamf and you ended up just kind of going in a different direction and starting your own thing. And it's like been amazing for you. So congrats on that. And I don't know, I kind of love that bit of a tech Cinderella story for you.
Yeah, it's been a fun journey. I was doing jump starts and stuff like that, and a lot of the clients I worked with, they just needed more than a 2 to 3 day training we were doing at the time. It was all on site at that time. There was some remote stuff too. So yeah, I saw the opportunity to branch off and start a Jamf only based MSP. and it's worked out well.
Well, we love having you on the podcast. We love working with you, of course, as a partner. So thanks for being here. And I'll start with you. What stood out to you at JNUC as far as favorite features or updates?
Yeah, I'll say you can sum that up with platform, platform SSO along with the platform API. Those were the two announcements that were very exciting, and I'm very excited to dig into more over the next couple months.
Can we tug on that thread a little? Like why? Like what's got you like as far as platform goes? What has stood out or what are you looking forward to the most? Just to give some listeners some additional context.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with the platform API. So we went a day early for Partner Day, and I was talking with Kevin White, who has created Superman, which is for a utility for macOS updates. We use it for a bunch of our clients. It's an amazing product. We've had Kevin on our Launchpad meetup several times. But he was saying, this is an amazing product, but he wants to be able to utilize blueprints within his product. And he's like, if only they would open up an API for blueprints. And then during the keynote, of course, we saw that. And it was like, yes, finally, we're able to get API endpoints for all these cool new features Jamf is doing, like blueprints and CIS benchmark compliance and stuff like that. And
I
then
love
for the
that.
yeah. So I haven't been able to fool around with that yet. Maybe you guys can give me some guidance if there's some way I can get into the beta for that, because I don't see the ability to get the client ID and client secret in my Jamf account.
See what we can do for you.
I was gonna say we've got the right person on the call to maybe help steer that direction. Katie, how about you? What are some of your favorite features or updates that we released? And you've also talked to a lot of customers as well. What do you find people are most excited about?
So what was really cool for JNUC this year is, I mean, pretty much exactly what Chris said, but multiplied by 1,000. There were so many customer requests and really, really good requests. Wow, I'd really love it if I had this thing. Wow, I'd really love an automated software update workflow. And then knowing that we were going to be on stage and be able to share that, like it feels like we did a lot of things right this year. Obviously, we've always got more work to do, but it was super cool to be able to check some boxes for customers and make sure that we were actually offering the things that they were really wanting. I actually have a customer call later this afternoon with a customer who specifically requested the automated software update workflow. So can't wait to chat with them because I think they'll be happy.
Yeah, I remember briefly talking to you about something declarative related a few months ago, and the idea of these automated software updates came up. And I don't remember exactly what you said, but it was something to the effect of, "Oh, we will be announcing these. We will be releasing these because it is such an important feature for all of our admins." And so that for me was definitely a highlight of JNUC this year.
Yeah, the platform vision, I mean, Chris was right. The platform's the star, and it enables all of these cool tools and options and gives us way more flexibility to deliver value to our customers that we never could before, at least not in any timely fashion. So I'm incredibly excited about the doors that are open to us and the work that we can do moving forward.
Yeah, I think there was during the keynote, we had a slide up and it was really recapping all of the ways that you can take full advantage of Jamf's platform. And some of that's through a user interface, some of that's through our API, thinking about things like infrastructure as code. And we announced, of course, some sweet Terraform capabilities that have been worked on over the past few months. And so it really feels like with this platform approach, again, Chris, using that, like highlighting that term, and it really emphasizes that any customer can get full advantage of Jamf no matter how you really want to integrate it into your tech stack. And that feels so exciting and so liberating, really.
Yeah, in some ways, this JNUC kind of felt like when Apple released the new modern MacBook Pro, and we're like, wait, it's got an HDMI port, it's got like all these things. It's like, but these are all the things that we've been asking for, and Apple actually did it. We were surprised. And it kind of feels like that with Jamf. Like, we're getting new API endpoints. This is exciting.
Now, as you think about everything that we announced and the conversations that you had, and I know, Chris, I saw you at your booth in the expo hall. Side note, the super sweet AI chess game was really cool. But what kinds of issues did you see being solved? Were there any unlocks or almost those aha moments from customers as they were attending sessions and attending keynotes and State of the Unions?
Well, I think the biggest thing is platform SSO. Like, from like the general user in Jamf Pro, that is the most exciting feature. And it's I watched I did not get to watch that many JNUC presentations, unfortunately. I did have to stream a lot afterwards. We were at our booth almost the whole time, but I saw Adam Derrick's presentation on platform SSO, and it's really cool to see Jamf leaning into the fact that, like, this is the future, and depending on your IDP and if you're able to support this, this is going to be a replacement for Jamf Connect. Because I was wondering what Jamf's stance with that would be, if they'd be like clenching on to Jamf Connect for dear life until the last dying moment. But it's like, no, I'm glad they're embracing this platform SSO strategy, because I think we all know this is the future. There's so much more that Apple can do on their own to solve this problem that a third party provider just would not be able to do.
I kind of love having different like lenses because Chris, we've got your lens from a partner end using perspective. And then Katie, I would love your thoughts on kind of that product, peek behind the curtain on PSSO and your understanding. You've got a bit of a wider lens talking to partners, customers. Would love your take on this.
Well, it was a problem that needed to be solved, right? And that's why Jamf Connect came into being in the first place. And so the fact that Apple is solving it in the uniquely Apple way that they are, great, love it. There's a term in the Apple ecosystem about getting Sherlocked when Apple actually releases the feature that you've been working on secretly or not so secretly for years and years, and Apple's just like, here you go. We're used to that. And I don't want to sound like Apple took our ball and went and played a game with it themselves. Again, it was a problem that needed to be solved, and I think Apple's approach is elegant, and I think it's going to actually make some things very, very cool for customers. I also know there's more work to do in that space. Like our third party partners are still doing some work. So it's a pleasure to have the evolution, and it's a pleasure to figure out, cool, where else do we step in to add value and solve problems. That's the game of it. That's what product does. You can't take it personally if somebody solves it a little bit nicer than you ever could.
Yeah, and as we think about platform SSO, obviously Apple released the initial capabilities of platform SSO over the past 2-3 years.
It's actually longer than that, though,
Is it?
because
Is it?
if you
Yeah,
think about it as Enterprise Connect, it's been around a really long time.
that's true. That's true. I wasn't thinking about Enterprise Connect. What's new this year? If some of our listeners haven't watched WWDC or stayed current on those announcements, why does it matter? What has changed?
So what's super cool, kind of the ultimate state of platform SSO, is this idea that you can inject identity effectively ahead of the enrollment process, ahead of management. And so you can set up a pre-stage enrollment where a device, when it hits its cloud configuration, is told to go get the SSO extension with some configuration and then proceed through the identity workflow where a device and user get registered, and then management happens. Basically, like the setup assistant goes through as usual, and the device will use the identity that was captured during that user registration process to create the local user account, and your password is already synced with your IDP password. So you already have the local credentials that match your cloud credentials. It can be hardware backed key. Like you can get a lot of extra layers of security. It's a fascinating sort of bootstrappy way of doing identity provisioning right out of the box. And it'll support multi-factor if that's what you have configured for your IDP. So it's pretty cool. Like I said, there's definitely some more work to do here, but we do support it in Jamf Pro at the setup assistant. Basically, you can't complete the setup assistant until you actually complete the user registration. So that's version 1. And there's going to be more iterations as we go forward and work with our identity partners. So it's pretty cool. And again, Mac only at this point. But I think Apple's continuing to take feedback about workflows like this. So if there's a need for you to focus on identity out of the box, let's talk it through.
Yeah. A question for you, Katie, just because I haven't had the chance to fool around with this. Are you able to do it at this point, either with Entra or Okta at the File Vault window, like actually getting your company like splash page at the File Vault window?
I don't think so.
Two-factor and stuff like that? No, it's not supported yet.
I don't think so. There's definitely a vision toward passwordless and, we'll say not crashing headlong into the File Vault blocker.
Mhm.
But I think, again, there's more work to do. And I think Apple is very interested in continuing to iterate on this workflow.
Yeah, Apple likes to hint at that type of stuff, and then I never see any videos or anything about it. So I'm like, don't know if that's coming at some point or if it's just a vision for the future.
Guess we'll have to see.
We'll have to wait and find out. So we talked a little bit about APIs, talked a little about platform SSO. I feel like Blueprints got a nice little uplift as well. And we're curious, what circumstances would an admin maybe not want to take advantage of this amazing workflow, like Blueprints automated software updates specifically?
So I think generally the idea is like we're trying to solve for the 80% rule, right? In general, admins want to update their devices on some cadence. But there's going to be exceptions. And so one I can think of off the top of my head would be like a change freeze during a holiday period or, some other reason why an organization would actually prioritize environment stability over maybe security patching. Like people make balances, they make choices. So that's the primary use case that I can think of. But generally speaking, what I'm hoping we're going to see is that people will add automated software updates at the cadence that makes sense for them. And then we're just going to see basically increased uptake for any new versions of OSs that come out. That's what I want. I want to see everybody patching as quickly as possible and as painlessly as possible without having to reconfigure a nudge workflow or a Superman workflow. I still think there's a gap that Superman fills. Again, there's always like the weird edge cases and the enable your users to do the thing. And I think Superman's going to keep adding value there. Kevin and I had a great chat about it. He was super excited about the API. So I think there's always going to be more ways to make updates better. And I'm looking forward to seeing what people come up with.
Yeah. I think my answer for this is much simpler. It is Jamf account OIDC. That's the big blocker I see for a lot of organizations we work with and organizations we talk to. Getting that set up when you've had an organization with SSO integration in Jamf Pro for so long and you have groups and stuff like that can be a huge pain point. We're actively trying to get everyone migrated over, but that's the big challenge at this point for most people I see.
So I'll put in a plug for a webinar that's going to be showing next week about simplifying access to the Jamf platform with SSO integration with Jamf account. And I think that's sort of like the downstream benefit of the energy of JNUC, is that people are starting to really understand the value of kind of why we did this integration, why we're pushing this idea of a Jamf identity that gets you into all of the Jamf things, including these services that offer declarative device management and also compliance benchmarks, AI assistant. So that work has been a long time in progress, and I think people are starting to realize, yeah, this is the time to make that change. And maybe it's not quite so hard as people think it is. Our friends on the support staff working in the various booths, some of them were able to make customer assistance to flip the switch on site. So maybe it's not as hard as you think. And hopefully the webinar next week can help. But also, we've got a ton of resources to help you figure out how to kind of negotiate the change and talk through with your identity team if that's necessary. In some organizations, it is. In some, it's not. Sometimes it's real easy. So hopefully, folks are looking through the documentation to figure that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, a lot of people don't know if they don't see the benefit yet in it. And I think with the software updates, it's going to be a bit different. But yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, this is the future of where Jamf is moving. So you're going to have to do it now, or you're going to have to do it later sometime. But eventually, I think it's going to be required. But I guess I'll let you guys speak on that.
Maybe. We never know. We don't know.
Mostly, we just want to make sure that you're getting the value you need. It might be behind this particular toggle, but that's where the workflows are getting built these days.
I know one of the things that, and you mentioned just now, Katie, AI assistant. I, for one, was really, really excited to see the new AI assistant capabilities, especially with macOS security. And for any listeners who don't know, I have a little app called Remediasaur that's in the App Store, and it's for looking through Jamf Protect security alerts. And I think a lot about how do you empower someone who isn't an expert in macOS security, and how do you help them secure an individual Mac or a fleet of Macs. What do y'all think about that new capability? What stands out to you, and how do you see our customers using it?
I think AI tools are at their best when they are serving as eyes in the sky in regard to pattern matching. Like, I think that's actually what AI is probably best at. And I know I am not amazing at scrolling through thousands of lines of logs to figure out when a particular event happened and what might have happened thereafter. So using a tool to help me figure that out and help me figure out what I should be reacting to, I think that's hugely valuable. And in fact, I think that's probably the most beneficial use case for one of these AI tools that I've even thought about. So I'm actually really excited about anything that can augment an admin's ability to react to security events.
I was going to say that was my favorite part of the opening keynote. I think it was in Akasha's segment, just kind of talking through AI, where we were 2 years ago in Austin and then where we are today. And I loved the demo that was done on stage with the time stop daemon. I thought that was just very impressive. And I think they did a good job with a common example of, is this actually a threat, or is this just technology not knowing how to read technology? Because let's be honest, a lot of security tools, they are cross-platform and they don't even always know how to properly read the Mac. So you could be going down a total rabbit hole or a red herring of, is this real or not? And I just kind of loved how fast the demo went and recognizing, oh yeah, that's real. That's not a fake alert. It's not fake news. That is a real problem you got to wrangle in there. So like, I'm kind of in the middle with AI. I'm just kind of like, is this, I grew up in the Terminator era. So I'm like, is this like good or is this bad? John Connor's watching us try to make friends. John Connor's watching us try to make friends with AI. And it's like, I don't know, but then when I see it like that, I'm like, oh no, that makes sense. Yeah, I like this update. That's good AI. That's really good AI. So
Yeah, like you said, Katie, I think a lot of folks position AI as the future of everything. And I think that a much more pragmatic view is it can solve really specific problems that are a perfect fit for AI. It does those really, really well. And I think in this case, I was excited because I feel like as we've continued to evolve Jamf's AI assistant, it is very purposeful. And much like Apple might not release new hardware or software that does a little bit of everything, they want to continue to refine it and make sure it's actually solving problems. I feel very similar about our AI assistant. And so seeing those capabilities with Jamf Protect security alerts, no one is an expert at reading hundreds of lines of a JSON file to decipher what happened during a security event. The same thing during the commercial State of the Union, we've got some AI assistant capabilities coming for Jamf Executive Threat Protection, which is phenomenal because, again, those logs that they're ingesting to help identify some of these threats on an iPhone, they are really difficult to decipher without a lot of expertise or a really great tool like AI Assistant helping out.
I also quite enjoyed being able to show off the AI assistant functionality to compare legacy configuration profiles with anything you might be deploying by way of blueprints. Like, show me where I've already used this setting. Show me where I'm about to stomp on my own configurations and how to, we'll say, resolve the conflict there. I really love the application of that tool set. I think that's super cool.
Yeah, it's taking that idea of using AI as a very specific tool that can clearly save an admin time and effort, and frankly help save and warn against mistakes. Because we all are human, and if you're scrolling through a list of policies or config profiles that are being deployed, those lists can get hairy. And so being able to have that second check, or even just going to it right away, is a really great way to save time and to make sure that you're doing things well.
Speaking of, I feel like we just need to just give a shout out to Misha Vanderbent and Dan McLaughlin for doing live demos. Like, for those of you who've been around JNUC land for a while, we've done live demos. Then for a little while, we didn't do live demos, and then we brought them back. And kudos to them for just having the demo gods with them. Conference Wi-Fi, which was skeptical at some spots, and just doing the demos flawlessly. Like, kudos to those two for just helping us look good and just really demonstrating our products. Just felt like the two of them just really deserved a shout out.
I think the live demo with vibe coding
Yes.
on stage in a convention center, my jaw was dropping. And so
I was
that
praying.
recognition, yeah, it's
100% was praying for all of them. I was like, please let this go well for them. They deserve it.
Oh, they did amazing work. And the effort that goes into putting on those demos, I can't understate it. It's so many weeks of prep and rehearsal and more prep and tweaking the formula to make sure that this is going to be something that will work and demonstrate cool stuff. And then plan B, plan C, make sure that we've got those in the back pocket. It's a lot of work.
Chris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I'll say I'm not like the biggest on the AI hype train all the time. I will say the conflicting configuration profiles was probably the coolest use case I saw in there, because being able to recognize that would be nice. Of course, you always want to verify when it comes to AI. Usually, I'll build kind of on that same system that has some inaccuracies at times. Is that available now in Jamf Pro, or is that coming in a future release?
So AI Assistant is currently in beta, and those additional skills will be coming along. We've got a little bit more work to do to make them production ready. That was a real demo and recording of a use case, but to actually make it go, it's going to require some more work. So we're still working on that part.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Yeah, I'd back when I was kind of testing it a couple months ago for a presentation, the most useful thing I found was the ability to search inventory to see what apps were on what computers and what versions they were running. Because that's something you can kind of do through Jamf Pro, but it takes a bit of Excel magic or extra programming to get there, because you can download all the apps and the app names and stuff. And then sometimes different, like 1Password has 1Password 7 and 1Password 8. So there's like, sometimes it'll show like two different apps because they have different app names, but it's the same app. So I think AI did a pretty decent job of showing a mostly accurate picture of that, which was kind of nice.
Yeah, it's slick. It's almost like it's allowing for some workflows, some capabilities that might not be like present in a uniquely built workflow, but still giving you that capability and surfacing some of that really robust inventory data that is captured through Jamf and through extension attributes and the like. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking for more ways to be able to interact with Jamf's, inventory, policies, configuration profiles, things like that. Because when it comes down to it, the AI assistant is nice, but it's somewhat similar to ChatGPT or whatever other AI tool you use. If all you're doing is asking questions about how do I create this policy or how do I do this thing. What's unique is when AI is able to search Jamf's inventory or your specific Jamf server. Like if I could see like, hey, what packages are orphaned in my server? And it was able to find that information, that would be kind of nice. Because if we work with a lot of customers, we do health checks and stuff like that. And, sometimes people have thousands of packages or thousands of scripts. And it's like, it's difficult to kind of search through all those and figure out like what we need to remediate. So having AI be able to go through some of that stuff and pull out some things would be pretty amazing.
Feature request noted.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Any other thoughts on JNUC? Would love to chat a little bit too about some security practices with it being Cybersecurity Month, even though we should practice cybersecurity every day. And then I want to also chat a lot about some of the new Apple updates, because it was like Apple updates, JNUC, and then like all the things I think are happening in the last few weeks. But any other like final thoughts on JNUC or something that you just want to make sure listeners look at before we maybe move on to other topics?
There was a lot of cool stuff from Partner Day that we saw. I don't even know if I should be talking about those things as a partner. A lot of the stuff was in beta, but cool stuff from the partner side, more than I think we've seen previous years.
Yeah, I think we'll leave it high level because a lot of it is in beta. And Giannis politely said, please don't talk about this too much. So I will respect that wish. But at a high level, I think it's very safe for us to say, yes, like lots of cool new things are coming. You guys got to get a peek behind the curtain on some of the things we're working on, which I think's important. And I get it. Like it can be a little dangerous too. Like, hey, look at, what we're working on, and things could change and technology changes all the time. But I think it's also better than kind of us being like, oh, that train's coming, just wait. And it's like, well, when's the train coming? What's the schedule? And there's no schedule. There's nothing of any kind. But at least we see that that train has been built, right? It's not on a full route, but we see it on the tracks and taking a few spins. So I can't agree with you there, Chris. And I'm really glad you were able to attend Partner Day and have some very positive things to say about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're very excited for what's to come there.
I know we're already looking ahead for Jamf Nation Live in the spring, and honestly, I'm just excited to bring whatever new things we're able to share at that point. The Jamf Nation Live this past spring was it was super cool. The energy was great. So taking sort of a mini JNUC on the road, can't wait to do that again.
I love it. Curious, just as we kind of put a bow on updates and things, or maybe it's a good transition. What are now that the dust has settled for about, we'll say, 3 weeks, What are some of y'all's early findings in some of the latest, like Tahoe OS updates, the new iOS 26 updates? Curious on some of their findings there. What are people celebrating? Um, how is it tying to Jamf? I'd be curious on kind of pinch hitting this a little bit.
For me, I think the coolest part about the new releases this year is that they weren't a big deal. And by that, I mean, we had done so much work to make sure that devices or our products were compatible with the new operating systems so people can buy their new devices with confidence. It was kind of like just another day. And that's amazing. That is the result of a lot of engineering work to make sure that we're ready for those new things. Um, Beyond that, I have to say that I had to turn off a lot of the liquid glass things because they're making me a little sick. But um, otherwise, I mean, it's been fun to play with the new stuff.
Chris, what's has stood out to you?
Well, it's a lot of the things that stood out from JNUC also stand out about Tahoe. I'm honestly, I don't care if the GUI looks this way or that way or what's happening in the operating system. I care how easy it is to manage. And the biggest thing was software updates with Tahoe. We saw like the big upgrade that's happening. Unfortunately, there haven't been really enough updates for us to test that out, I think, in a proficient way to see how that is. But we're still getting people upgraded to Tahoe and stuff like that. So in a couple months, we'll definitely see how that cadence is when we start upgrading computers from an earlier version of Tahoe to a later version. And then the other thing is platform SSO, which we're still in the process of implementing. We're not that quick of an organization that we can just move people over to this brand new system, especially the people, most of our clients are on Jamf Connect. So yeah, those are the two things that are really stand out to me as a Mac admin, but we're going to see down the road how those are. But every demo I've seen and everything else is like, this is what we've been waiting for like 4 years.
Yeah, I felt like macOS Tahoe in particular, they really did an incredible job of thinking about just more capabilities for those of us who are using it all day every day. I mean, and it sounds silly, but the fact that now within Spotlight I have an actual like clipboard history is hands down so incredible for my day-to-day workflow without necessarily having to rely on a third-party tool or a Spotlight replacement that I don't necessarily need. And so being able to bake in more capability, more shortcuts, more easy to run automations is really, really slick. And I'm a big fan of those changes in particular.
I
Yeah.
was going to say, Josh, I wanted your thoughts too, because you like to tinker. I know that. And I also know that part of your job is to kind of know what's out there in the market and how that impact is. But yeah, you beat me to it. I was like, Josh is reading my mind again.
Yeah, as a user, I'd say the biggest feature I'm looking forward to is the live translation. I haven't been able to test that out yet, but that is amazing. And, if you've ever tried to learn another language, talk to people who speak a different language, it's very frustrating. So having that as something that you can turn on at any moment in time and like understand someone, that's going to be big.
I'm with you. I think that's really cool too. And we should have tried it actually. Jana, Christos, Drosos, and I were speaking Greek to each other, and I was like, oh, we should have had like someone test it out, see like did it accurately pick up our discussion. But missed opportunity. We'll have to try that again next time, Christos. Katie, was there something you wanted to add there? I couldn't tell, and I want to make sure I don't miss you on anything. No.
No, I'm wondering if you managed to buy a Cosmic Orange iPhone or not.
I did not, but one of our partners who I sat next to at the Global Partner Summit, Matt Wilstahoff, did. And I was very impressed. He had the orange one, and it matched his flannel that was orange with his orange shoes. And I was like, you are head to toe like matching, and I can't handle this right now. He's one of our dear partners who's over at the foundation. So yeah, it was impressive. But you waved your phone up. Let's see it.
I did. And yeah, Cosmic Orange is the new Space Black. And I've also got the new beats to match as well. So
Nice.
I've got shoes. You can't see them. I'm not showing you my shoes today.
That's fine. That's fair. Anyone else pick up the new phone? Not
Oh,
yet.
yeah.
Katie.
I haven't yet.
Oh, you
Had to go
did. You
orange
got
as
it.
well. Had to go
There
orange
you
Oh
as
my
well.
goodness.
The thing is, when Apple releases a really interesting color, and I feel that way about, I forgot exactly what term they used, but the dark green from the iPhone 12, 13-ish era, it was beautiful. And they often last for one generation. And I just knew I was going to kick myself if I missed out on that. So yeah, definitely had to pick that up this year.
Is the new camera worth it? I like to take a lot of photos, definitely of, animals and nature and things. So I've got the 15 Pro Max. Should I make the dive and just splurge and get the new phone, or skip?
It takes some killer cat pictures, I got to tell you.
All right. All right. Maybe I'll go get one and have Arlo take a few photos. Just pose and have my golden retriever take some pics. Before I let you all go, being at Cybersecurity Month, and before this recording, like literally beforehand, I was getting notifications that my Facebook was getting hacked. So that was awesome. Then Chris trolled me and he's like, "You still use Facebook?" Yes. Anyways, aside from things like two-factor authentication, what are some of your all favorite security practices?
I wouldn't call it a practice, but a feature. The Apple Blast Door feature that limits messages and content in messages from unknown senders until it does identity verification in the background is one of the coolest and sort of like least visible things. The fact that someone can send you a link and Apple's actually thinking about it in the background and then decides, oh, no, wait, that's legit. And that link could actually turn blue in your messages later because they've done some math to realize that no, that's a legitimate sender. It's not just spam, or it's a legitimate link at least. I love that. I think that's super cool. So I am heavily relying on the cybersecurity lent to me by a very secure platform, and that's my best practice there.
Katie, I learned something new. I didn't even realize that. That's exciting.
So I researched that for my session in for JNUC. But yeah, fascinating feature. Love it.
All right, what was your JNUC session? We need to have a plug.
It was security from the silicon up, basically the design of Apple's platform security and then Jamf management and security on top of it. I went all in on a very silly mountain climbing metaphor in terms of the layers of security options that we were piling on. And I think some people were amused by the commitment to the bit. We'll say that.
I love it. Katie, thanks so much. Chris, how about you?
So one of the things I focused on in my presentation was talking about how insecure it is to put API credentials through Jamf Pro in any mechanism, whether it's through a script directly or through policy parameters. And the thing that we're really excited about is the latest version of our newest tool, Rocketman Command Center, can actually encrypt the client credentials coming down onto the computer, which is something I've been trying to it's a thing I've been trying to solve for 5 years. So I'm super happy that we're able to do that. I'm excited for people to test it out and tell me if it's as secure as my devs tell me it is. But yeah, essentially you can encrypt a string super easily, send that down through Jamf Pro, and the user can get that and they can't do anything with it because only the Rocketman Command Center CLI tool is able to decrypt it. And there's no logs anywhere of what it does to do that.
And congrats, by the way, on Rocketman Command Center 2.0. That's exciting.
Yeah, thanks. We're pretty excited about it.
That's awesome. Josh, any security?
I think for me, I have been frantically trying to learn about some of the new changes, both from an operating system and a hardware standpoint. So one of the things, for instance, with the newest iPhones is they have this memory integrity enforcement capability, which again is Apple finding ways through their hardware and software to prevent some of the avenues and some of the methods that threat actors might use to infiltrate a device. And so again, it's trying to wrap my head around it because it's starting to really get in the weeds as you're trying to understand it. The same thing with some of their post-quantum cryptography and preventing, having encryption that even once quantum computing becomes a more common occurrence, it can't be decrypted. And so there's some really cutting edge technologies, and some of that we're have talked about baking into ways that capabilities that we have. So there's just really cool security capabilities that I think are like leaps and bounds ahead of what we've seen in the past, and I'm trying to learn it all.
One of the things I love for security, it was kind of like an accidental happy security situation. So I've got my corporate owned Mac. I have bring your own device, iPhone. And even though the intent when we put things like Jamf Protect on devices, the intent is obviously to always protect client data, company data, all of that. But at the same time, like that's still my phone. And I love that it's protecting my phone. And there's been times where I've been sent links that I thought were perfectly A-okay and they weren't, and Jamf Protect like saved my phone. So a lot of people don't think of it for like bring your own device, but I'll sing that song and dance every single day. With that, I know we're pretty close on time. I first and foremost want to thank you both for taking time out of your very busy days to be here with us. So thank you, Katie and Chris. And any final thoughts before Josh and I bring us home and say goodbye?
It was great to see so many amazing folks at JNUC, and hope to see you next year. Hope to see you at Spring Jamf Nation Live events. But if you don't get a chance to catch that, boy, we've got a really well-populated YouTube channel.
Thank you, Katie. Chris?
As Katie said, it was great to see everyone at JNUC. I can make a quick plug for our Launchpad meetup next month. We have Adam Derrick talking about platform SSO, which we're super excited about. So if you want to hear more about that, or you missed the JNUC session on that, come join us.
I love that, and thanks for having several of our Jamfs on the Launchpad. We really appreciate that. And with that, we have a podcast in the books. Thank you both so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was obviously we covered a whole lot, and I still at the same time feel like we just barely scratched the surface. And so, but for anybody who's looking to learn more, obviously we've got our resources available on Jamf's website. Check out Rocketman Tech and go online there. And I know we are going to have some of our JNUC sessions available soon. If you were a JNUC attendee, most of those are available now if you want to go through and either rewatch a session you loved or check out some sessions that you missed. But thank you so much. And just a reminder, Jamf After Dark is a podcast from Jamf and is copyright 2025, all rights reserved. Technical details and product offerings may change at any time, so always check jamf.com for the latest information on our products and services.
You can reach out to us if you have any questions or comments or suggested show topics. And of course, we appreciate fan mail. Simply send a friendly email to info@jamf.com with the subject line, attention to the podcast. We are also a sponsor of the Mac Admins Foundation, and several Jamfs are available on the Mac Admin Slack channel. And of course, if you need support, visit Jamf account to start a conversation or open a ticket to get your technical questions answered.
And of course, special thanks sincerely to both of you, Katie, Chris. So appreciate your knowledge, you coming on to join us today. And it was great to see y'all last week at JNUC. And another big shout out to our audio engineers, Merlin and Martin, who help us sound fantastic. Until next time, for Kat Garbus, I am Josh Thornton.
And for Josh Thornton, I'm Kat Garbus. We will catch you after dark again. Good night, and don't forget to do some security updates.